The only thing white people have lost they have lost the ability to do is to say nigga without consequences. That's it. What else have they lost? Donald Sterling said made $2 billion saying. Well, Joe Rogan said he made $150 million.
DL Hughley is making it loud and clear. He's not rocking with the Academy Awards at all, and he's got some sharp words for Michael B. Jordan after that messy situation at the Baptist event. He didn't hold back on how strange it looks when someone gets praise right after a moment like that, and people are definitely paying attention to what he's saying. Now let's get this straight. DL didn't come for Michael in a personal way. Instead, he aimed straight at the system, calling it out as what he believes is a kind of humiliation ritual for Black actors. He's been saying for a while that these awards don't really hold weight for him, and he doubled down by saying Black people shouldn't be chasing approval from people who never fully supported them in the first place. Then he dropped this statement. Whether it's the Oscar committee or a grand jury, whenever people meet in secret, the results ain't going to be good for Black people.
Laura and I are delighted to be presenting the first BAFTA of the night for a vital part of movie making. We're here to...
And that hit hard. DL's not new to Hollywood either, so he's speaking from years of watching how this plays out. He's seen what people gain and what they quietly lose when they finally get that spotlight moment. He even pointed at patterns, like how Will Smith pushed for years to win, only for that big moment to come after striking another Black man on that same stage. Then there's Halle Berry, winning for a role where she plays a Black woman involved with a racist prison guard. DL is clearly questioning what kind of stories get rewarded and why. Who executed her husband? The role came with heavy graphic trauma, and in the end, it centered on a white man finding redemption through Halle's character. That alone had people side-eyeing the whole situation. And after Halle made history, what really changed for her? Her career didn't exactly skyrocket the way many expected. It slowed down, and now she's mostly seen in streaming releases instead of major box office hits.
I'd like to thank my incredible cast. Woonie, thank you so much for giving Smoke opportunity.
Back in 2002, when Halle won, she gave a powerful speech, dedicating that moment to Dorothy Dandridge, the first African-American woman ever nominated for an Oscar, and to every woman of color still fighting for a real seat at the table. It felt like a breakthrough moment. Something bigger than just one award. But looking back now, people are asking, what did that win actually shift in the industry? Even Halle later admitted she thought that victory would open doors to deeper roles and bigger opportunities. Instead, she ended up with Catwoman, a role that didn't do her any favors at all. And now, over 2 decades later, she still stands as the only Black woman to win Best Actress in a leading role at the Oscars. That says a lot. Then there's Lupita Nyong'o. She won for 12 Years a Slave and delivered an unforgettable performance. But after that win, many noticed a pattern. More offers came in, but a lot of them were tied to similar roles rooted in pain and history, which raised questions about the kinds of stories being pushed forward. Now bring it back to Michael B. Jordan, because this situation gets complicated fast. Just weeks ago at the BAFTAs, Michael was on stage presenting when a man with Tourette's syndrome shouted the N-word at him and his Sinners co-star, Delroy Lindo. That moment shocked everyone watching. And yes, the man has Tourette's, so some say it was an uncontrollable outburst. But the timing had people raising eyebrows. Out of all moments, it happened right when 2 Black actors were standing there. That's where the conversation gets uncomfortable. And here's the part that really stands out. The BAFTAs were pre-recorded with a delay, and the BBC had already edited other segments, so people are wondering why that moment was left in. They didn't want the audience at home to see it? That's what people are questioning right now. And let's be honest, if that same slur had been directed at another group, many believe the BBC would have cut it out immediately without even thinking twice.
I won that Academy Award. You know, you think, oh, I'm gonna get lead roles here and there. oh, Lupita, we'd like to play another movie where you're a slave, but this time you're on a slave ship. Those are the kinds of offers I was getting in the months after winning my Academy.
So why was this moment left in the final broadcast? What was the reason for allowing two Black actors to be put in that position in front of millions watching worldwide? And here's where things get even more uncomfortable. Michael B. Jordan didn't publicly address the situation at all. Delroy Lindo later shared that he wished someone from BAFTAs had at least checked in with them afterward, but that didn't seem to happen. Meanwhile, Michael stayed quiet, didn't react publicly, and then not long after, he's standing on stage holding an Oscar. That sequence has people talking, and it's exactly the kind of situation D.L. Hughley was pointing at. The idea being discussed is this. First comes the public moment that feels disrespectful, then comes the recognition from the same system, and you're expected to accept it with a smile. It raises a bigger question people keep asking. Are actors being tested on how much they'll tolerate while staying agreeable and professional in the spotlight? Looking at the bigger picture, some critics argue that for actors of color, these awards can feel tied to expectations. Stay composed, accept certain roles, avoid pushing back too hard, and keep everything smooth in public. That's the deeper concern behind DL's statement when he said, Black people shouldn't be chasing acceptance from systems that haven't always treated them fairly. And here's another point that keeps coming up in this conversation. In the entire 96-year history of the Academy Awards, there has still never been a Black winner for Best Director. That fact alone keeps fueling the debate about representation and what real progress actually looks like. Best Director, just let that sit for a second. You can barely count the nominations on one hand, and that alone says a lot. John Singleton made history back in 1991 as the first Black director ever nominated for Boys in the Hood, but he didn't win. Then Lee Daniels got his shot with Precious. Still no win. Steve McQueen was nominated for 12 Years a Slave and didn't take it home either. Barry Jenkins got nominated for Moonlight in 2016, but lost to Damien Chazelle for La La Land. And then there's Spike Lee, one of the most respected and influential filmmakers ever, who didn't even get nominated until 2019 for BlacKkKlansman and still didn't win Best Director. When you line all that up, it paints a picture that's hard to ignore. Now think about what that really means. Black actors can step into roles shaped around struggle, pain, or serving someone else's story and get recognized for it. But when it comes to directing, creating, and controlling the narrative, that's where things seem to stall out. That's the part people keep circling back to, and it connects directly to what D.L. Hughley has been calling out. And this isn't new. It goes all the way back to the early days of Hollywood. Hattie McDaniel became the first Black Oscar winner in 1940 for Gone with the Wind, playing a maid. A historic moment, no doubt, but even that night came with a harsh reality. She wasn't allowed to sit with her white co-stars and was placed at a segregated table in the back of the room. And even after her passing in 1952 from cancer, that same discrimination followed her story. It shows how deep these issues run and why conversations like this keep coming up again and again. She wanted to be buried at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, but they turned her away because it was segregated at the time. That's how deep it went. For years, there wasn't even a proper marker recognizing her legacy. And it wasn't until 1999 that a memorial was finally placed there. Think about that. Decades later, Hattie McDaniel made the same kind of choice many Black actors still face today. Take roles that come with stereotypes and hope it opens better doors. But for her, those doors didn't really swing open, and she spent much of her career fighting just to be taken seriously. Now, fast forward to today, and that same pattern still shows up in different ways. The white savior storyline keeps popping up again and again. From The Blind Side to Green Book. You've got stories where a Black character's life is framed mainly to help a white character grow or learn something meaningful. It's a formula people have been calling out for years because the Black experience ends up being filtered through a lens that doesn't fully belong to it. And then you've got criticism coming from voices like Dr. Reed, who took a close look at Sinners and didn't hold back. He argued that the film presents a version of empowerment that feels incomplete. According to him, it pushes the idea that simply realizing personal strength is enough to overcome oppression, But he points out that deeper systems tied to economics and power don't just disappear because of mindset alone. You don't have to fully agree with that take, but it adds another layer to the bigger conversation. Because at the end of the day, the industry still has real issues to work through. Being invited to the table after moments that feel disrespectful doesn't automatically equal progress. And that's what keeps people questioning the bigger picture. Now, some people watching might say, it's not that serious, or wonder why not just celebrate Michael B. Jordan and keep it moving. But that tension right there is exactly why this conversation isn't going away anytime soon. Jordan, and sure, on the surface, it looks like a huge moment. A talented Black actor getting recognized on one of the biggest stages in Hollywood is something people naturally want to celebrate. But here's where the conversation shifts, and this is exactly what D.L. Hughley has been pointing out. Focusing only on individual wins while ignoring deeper industry issues doesn't really move anything forward. Now let's talk about Michael B. Jordan for a second. No one's denying his talent. It's clear. But some critics describe him as what Hollywood sees as safe. If you watch his interviews or look back at his public comments, you'll notice he tends to stay neutral on topics that could spark controversy. He doesn't usually step into conversations that might stir strong reactions, and that's why moments like the BAFTA incident stand out even more. When that situation happened, people expected some kind of response, but instead, there was silence. That choice didn't go unnoticed, and it added fuel to the larger discussion people are already having. Some fans even started drawing comparisons to Michael Jordan back in the 90s. When he said Republicans buy sneakers too and avoided backing a political candidate, it sparked a lot of debate about staying neutral versus taking a stand. And now, people are seeing a similar kind of approach here. For some observers, that's exactly why Hollywood continues to embrace Michael B. Jordan. Because he doesn't disrupt the system, he moves within it. And that idea right there is what keeps this whole conversation going strong. Jordan, he's got the talent to lead major films, no question about it. But at the same time, many see him as someone who stays within safe boundaries, never really stepping into territory that could make people in power uncomfortable. He's not known for using his platform to speak on issues that might risk future opportunities, and that's exactly the kind of pattern D.L. Hughley was calling out. That's why D.L.'s statement hits the way it does. Whether it's the Oscar committee or a grand jury, whenever people meet in secret, the results ain't going to be good for Black people. It's a bold claim, and it's clearly meant to make people stop and think about how these systems operate behind the scenes. Now, it really comes down to perspective. Some people fully agree with DL and see a pattern that's been repeating for years, while others feel like this might be reading too deeply into individual moments. So, what do you think about all of this? Do you agree with DL, or do you see it differently? And how do you view Michael B. Jordan's place in Hollywood right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments, keep the conversation going, and stay locked in for what's coming next. Don't forget, like, share, comment, and subscribe.